Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner. This is another episode of Go Play Esports Podcast. Man, same thing, same location, same time, every week, every Monday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have a special guest on. We talk about the emergence of esports and what their role is and what their job is and what their story has been throughout. Today is no different. We're actually waiting on our guests to arrive. And we hopefully think that they're going to come on soon. But let's handle some business while we're waiting on them, okay? All right. Go Play Esports is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Like I've said weeks before and weeks beyond this week, for my traditional podcast listeners, you're going to get this podcast a few days after that Monday. But for my streamers, for my people that's locked in right now at that 4 p.m. hour, you can catch us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, and Twitch at Go Play ES. That's GEAUX, Play, PLAEY, capital E as in E, O as in elephant, S as in sport. So Go Play Esports. That's where you can find us, people. That's where we're going to always be. We're here for the people. Let's kind of get into some sponsors here, man. We have T Foxy Gaming. T Foxy Gaming is my eyewear provider. That's who I go to. That's how I protect my eyes. Great gaming eyewear company that I strongly depend on. I'm in front of the computer throughout the day as a teacher, as an esports coach, and even after that, when I'm working late hours, I try to put on my T Foxy Gaming glasses when I'm operating in front of the screen. You can go to tfoxygaming.com and use code GOPLAYES. That's code GOPLAYES and get you a nice discount. All right? Then we're going to go into drinkcontrol.com. That's Control. We partner with them. They're also a sponsor of this podcast, and you can use that same code, GOPLAYES. You can use those codes. And lastly, but not least, let's pretty much give a thank you to our main sponsor, Vertigear. We're going to play a small commercial right quick, and then we're going to get in our conversation with Dr. Chris Haskell from Boise State Esports right after this commercial break. Stay tuned. All right, you can go to vertigear.com. Doc, how you doing? Your volume's down, Doc. Let me see. We'll give Doc a second to kind of get his sound right. I think we got you, Doc. You hear? No sound. Wow. Technology people. Give Doc a few more seconds, man. But for my viewers, man, if you can see this arena that he's been able to build over the years, it's amazing. You have some lights and some sounds, man, some soft seating. It's been an inspiration to me, Doc, from the high school level, man. is one of the blueprints that I looked at quite often. Do we have you now? All right, let's try this one more time. Doc.
Hey.
There we go.
It's going to work.
It's going to work. It's technology. No sweat.
Yeah.
How you been?
I've been good. Just busy.
Yeah.
Is it December already?
Yeah. There you go.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
It never stops in our space. And I wanted to kind of do an introduction. Well, I know who you are. Let's kind of get into who you are exactly, and how did you get into education, and how did you make it up to this point?
Well, it's really kind of strange, except it's not, right? I mean, if you dig into most folks in education's history a little bit, you'll find the root, where they came in as an educator before they started morphing into whoever they have become, after several years or after 2 decades or whatever it is. But I was a high school band director in my first iteration as a teacher. Loved that process and miss some of it. Don't miss 50 performances a year. Although now that I think about it, that gig would be a lot easier than the one I have now.
For sure.
Yeah, we played 137 matches in the fall with our varsity competitive teams, and so think about that. Like, I'd go back to 50 concerts a year. That'd be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I taught high school, a little bit of middle school as part of one of my high school gigs, and then came to the university when I got my master's degree, and then finished my doctorate and stayed in the technology side of education.
Got it. And so now you're a professor at Boise State, and you're the man behind the machine. That's what I say behind your back anyway.
This machine, yeah,
that machine. And so let's get into like the whole scope. Like, how did the conversation come about at Boise to start the esports program?
Okay, I backed into it, if anything, and I was doing some research. I was looking for another keynote topic. I was doing a fair amount of speaking at the time, and I thought, I've always been teaching games while I've been here at the university, teaching using game spaces as learning environments, Second Life, Minecraft. If I was still doing that, I'm sure we'd be looking at Fortnite sandboxes as educational spaces, right? Classroom spaces. But I was just doing some research, and I became very aware quickly, meeting with folks like Mark Deppie at UCI and AJ Dimmick at Utah, Kurt Melcher at RMU, that this was about to become massive. And I took the idea forward. My one mistake is I didn't take the idea forward with hey, we need to find somebody really good to do this. Because when the dust settled, I was in charge, and oh my, it's been a run.
It's been overtaken. But I mean,
yeah.
I think the flip side to what we're in, we see the development of the students and something that I've admired from afar. It looks like your program is pretty much student ran. Can you speak on that?
So parts of it are, right. There are elements that are heavily student influenced. We want them to have like true, consequential participation. The things that they do influence the entire thing, but not without scaffolding, right? Flights of fancy can lead you off into strange directions that a university struggles to get behind. And so you always need that kind of moral leadership, moral authority to say, well, at our core, this is what we are, right? This is what we do. And where we are, these are the parameters that will help us to be the most successful. So students run our broadcast. They run our team practices to a large extent. I mean, they are the experts in the game at the highest levels. So they don't need me to tell them what to do. They need me to help them organize what they believe and to evaluate whether those beliefs are true. And so that's where the coaching comes in. It's not so much, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. It's far more, okay, so help me understand what this composition allows us to do. So based on what they're playing into, where are the scary moments for us? What do we have to look out for? How do they beat us with who they've drafted here? When are our spikes? When are their spikes? When can we play for this? What's our win condition? What's our fight win condition? And I can ask them all of those questions because I understand what it takes to be successful. But they're the ones who have to know the answer to that, and then together we formulate how we plan to do that. And I just make sure that the right conversations are happening.
Exactly. I mean, it's that. I mean, that's what your role is as a head coach, or a director, or GM, or whatever your title is for your program, and so and I think we have a conversation that's long past due, and we'll get to that after the podcast. But I was talking with someone, man, and they kept telling me that the project that I'm working on the high school level, I'm working on the collegiate level as well, though. And we got into the conversation of sponsorships, and I started talking, and your name came up due to the fact that it was some similarities on how we approach things. Can you speak on like how you leverage those partnerships and sponsorships to better your program?
You bet. So we're a public institution, so all of our information is public. There's no reason to hide it. We have an operating budget of about $350,000 per year, and none of that comes from the general fund of the university. All of it is raised by the organization. Now, some of that is long-term sponsorship from folks like Omen, or for us, it's the Idaho Central Credit Union, a big local credit union. The Idaho Army National Guard are big sponsors and supporters of what we do. They have us put on events for them, run tournaments, and add what we call broadcast inventory to what we do in our broadcasts. And that is essentially how we raise funds for it. Now, we received a generous donation from a group of local, very successful business owners to help us, buy trussing and lights and really to outfit what we do here, and a lot of extra computers and things like that. But beyond that, the vast majority of our fundraising comes through events and broadcasting.
Yeah, and I don't think as educators, I don't think, and I'm talking K through 12 to throughout collegiate. I don't think they know what the leverage is in having your own broadcast and being able to plug those commercials and sponsors. Can you kind of dive into that?
Just since September 1st, we've broadcast with 96 days since September 1st. We've broadcast about 1.71 million. About 300 hours. 400 hours, 1.71 million unique viewers, and 9.5 million minutes watched of our content. And sometimes that's low, that's 30, 40. Sometimes we receive, the prioritization that you get when you meet all of the Twitch, challenges they give you, all that on your page in there, where it's encouraging you to get X amount of talkers at the same time, broadcast 2,500 total hours, right? All of that leads to prioritization and where you're listed on the page and consistency. And so sometimes we'll get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 viewers at a time tuning into what we do, and that helps us demonstrate the value of being a supporter. We also curate a number of different elements for our sponsors and partners that they really need. So we do a top 5 plays for every game that we do. We edit that live during the event. We actually have a replay director position, a student who builds that out. And that helps, folks meet their needs. A lot of people think, we'll go to the energy drinks, we'll go to the computer companies, the chairs, we'll hit the endemics. But the endemics are spread so thin, they have to be everywhere. People and high schools should look at the local supporters, people who have a high interest in just being recognized, right? Or people who have a high interest in getting your help to organize a thing that they want to do. As we all know, I mean, organizing a Rocket League or even a Fortnite tournament is not difficult, and unless you're, say, the Coast Guard recruiter, right? And they've got they've got lots of money to do things, but they just don't know where to begin with that thing. So those types of partnerships are out there for every high school, right? A recruiting office, one of the military recruiters, will easily budget between $1,500 and $2,000 per year per recruit. That's their operating budget, right? So it's Disneyland money to us, right? It's like, that's not even, but if we say, look, how about if we did 2 tournaments for you, we'll get, 100 local high school students, involved. It'll be your name on it. You can meet them, get to know them a little bit better. Right now, recruiters especially just can't they're looking for any way possible to get people together. It's a huge benefit. So when people are looking for how to raise money, the advice we always give people, don't look for people who are selling a thing. Look for people and businesses who are trying to meet people, who want to be recognized, who need to be out there. I mean, truly, banks and recruiting offices and temporary employee recruiting offices who just can't keep all their temp positions filled sometimes. Those folks are very interested in our power in esports to bring people together. Because right now we're one of the only places that can bring people together.
They're still thriving too.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to my next point with you, and I want to hear your expertise on this. Coronavirus, COVID-19 was a bad thing, and we're still dealing with it.
Yeah. With
you having the ability to broadcast and stream and go digital, was that time good for you? Like I saw you guys do a virtual camp. Talk about like that transition from the school shutting down and being able to still do something with your kids.
Well, I mean, no one is COVID proof at this point, right? We're all these collections of communities, and it still affects us. We've had students who have lost close relatives. People are still dying. We're not COVID proof. But what we do is already wired for us to be physically separate, but emotionally and socially connected. So it's a good time to bring people together with esports. We can still do it. Broadcasting makes it a little bit easier to tell the stories, right, of what's going on. So yeah.
And so this is a personal question.
Okay.
So I know you're a dad, I know you're a professor, and you're juggling all of this. What kept you level like those first 1 or 2 years when you were building that program? That question is for me.
Well, you give me way too much credit. Right? If you're on the front edge of things, right? Yeah. You're constantly doing the math of, if I weren't going to do this, what could I go back to my old life, right? It was pretty hairy for a bit because securing the security that we needed to keep going. And for me, the hardest part at our university, it took us a long time to spin up the scholarships. And to me, scholarships were the only reason to keep going.
Keep it going. Yeah.
And our university has been wonderfully supportive with space and with letting me focus my time on this. They've released me from my teaching load last year so that I could be a full-time director and head coach.
I'm having those talks right now, Doc.
So that's what it became for us. And once we started to get the infrastructure in place and we learned all the hard lessons that we needed to, it started to come together. The schedule is key, right? We know when we're going to play and who we're going to play. That's 90% of the job. I'm convinced that the Hall of Fame for coaches in college esports is going to be filled with people who can schedule, right? It won't say how many wins they had. It'll say 10 years of 12 scrims a week across 6 squads, right? Like,
right.
That's impressive.
That's impressive, yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's better than any win streak. It's scheduling, but it got better. It got better. Time away helps, right? And for me, I stopped stressing about do we have the perfect space to do what we want, and more started to focus on, okay, who are my people? What successes are they having? I talk all the time about Paul Vaughn, who is the head coach at Oklahoma City University, and he's a graduate of our program. And that is one of those successes, or the fact that we were able to hire one of our own, Alex Moore, to be an assistant coach to me and to lead our League of Legends program. Those are the successes that make all of the stress worth it, right?
It does.
Yep.
It does. And I think even before we went on this journey as far as esports, I think that, for me, that's why I fell in love with it, being an educator. Just the success stories, period. Seeing somebody thrive and go to the next level. And so I'm kind of skipping around, but let's talk about this baby here, man. Like, what was the thought process? Like, walk us through the whole process, man. Because this is, I'm not saying that it's the only college in the world with an arena.
No. But
you were talking about perfect. I think it's well put together. It's a mixed-use space. So let's kind of get into depth about the esports arena.
I learned early on that you cannot introduce the unindoctrinated to esports without letting them see it in action, right? They need to see it. They need to hear it. They need to see the faces. You'll notice that the vast majority of our materials show our players doing what they do up close, right? Rarely do you see the game in still photos, right? Most of the time you see the player, because that's the thing that they don't get. They don't get that that's Brandon Kasiancic, right? They don't know that he is about to graduate and that he's been a 3-year, about to be a 4-year starter for our League of Legends team, or that he's competed for 3 Mountain West championships and finally got one. He's been runner-up 3 times before finally winning a Mountain West Conference championship. All of that is lost until you see the person, right? So this space, which I'm in right now, right? I can just There
we go. That's what we're talking about,
right? What you see in the photos, arcade game over there, so I can school the students.
Old school. They
elevated broadcast desk, and some the stage behind me, and more tournament machines and things like that. We can get about 25 machines in this space, and our control rooms just 20 feet away from where I'm sitting right now. This space was necessary so people could come in and go, oh, I get it.
This is
right?
what it is.
Yeah. This is what it is. And so for us, we're at a Division I football school, and there's a vocabulary of being a Bronco. It usually means knocking out Goliath whenever possible. Sometimes Washington, sometimes Oklahoma, famously, right?
Right.
With the Statue of Liberty and Ian Johnson. And what's fun is that a lot of those guys are big friends of the program now, and have stayed connected. That were part of those big football successes. So we have blue AstroTurf on our stage that was removed, taken from the stadium. Yeah, from the stadium. Our kids play on the blue too, right? So there's a vocabulary. We had to be our own storytellers in a sense.
Sure.
We had to be able to tell the story of why this was important. So we had to broadcast. But that's what we needed to do. It's not what every school needs to do. It's just what we needed to do to be relevant on a Division I football campus, and not just be this great, cool little thing that people couldn't really tell the difference between it and, say, the chess club. We had to show them what esports was about. So you elevate the kids physically, you put them on a stage, you have commentators call all of their games, you have kind of concert arena lights, and you do the full broadcast so that people say, "Oh, I get it. I get it now."
Yeah. And so, going into, having those, successes, you say I give you too much credit, but you have these. You have your 2020 program director and winner, and you have your college esports coach of the year. And so, tell me if this means anything. I don't know what tickles your fancy, but they're major accomplishments, man. I think we work hard and we don't realize, the strides we made or the impressions that we made on our peers and colleagues until you get something like that.
Those are an exceptional kindness by colleagues that I will never be able to repay. Truly, I'm more grateful that those awards exist than I am for winning them. And I always hope to be deserving of an award like that, but I don't ever want to win one again. They're wonderful, but they need to be shared around, and hopefully won't be consolidated. Right, that's the truth of it. But I am thrilled, and I can't wait for Dana Husted to win one, or for Kevin Reap to win one, or for Dan Clerkey to win one. I mean, I could go on and on. Chad and AJ and all of the. I mean, there's so many people. Adam, all these amazing people that likely can and will win something like that. I'm grateful that our discipline, our industry acknowledges those things. But any of us, I think, that are driven personally to achieve things are more, I don't know, I guess, taken off our game a little bit by those, because they imply that you've reached some great height. And I've got too many things left that I really want to accomplish. Yeah. It's like, thank you so much for this. I do think of both of them honestly like a service position. The way to edify the award is to always speak on behalf of those two organizations as the award holder, and I hope that my colleagues will do the same. Right? I mean, having the Coach of the Year, the Director of the Year award, I think means that you say yes to lots of opportunities to talk about the great things that are happening all over what we do. And there are absolutely amazing directors and coaches everywhere.
They are.
Yep. Working hard at all levels. I mean, truly. And NAECAD is a great example of an organization that recognizes the high school, the scholastic coach. Because again, that is so critical that we recognize what we think is doing it right, and we elevate that so that we can all take note of it and learn something from it.
That's awesome, man. That's a good way to wrap that up. And so, the question is now, what's next? You had your arena, you're going on all cylinders, and you're highly respected in the space. What's next? I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months due to COVID, but what do you have in mind? Like, what are your goals at this point?
I mean, our short terms are, I can't wait until we're in a position, in our country and on our campus to actually have people in the arena again, ringing cowbells, not worried about face masks. And we're going to get to that point.
Sure.
I can't wait to be able to travel with my teams again and go to different events. That's one of the greatest reasons to play a college sport or a high school sport is to travel with your family to go do a thing. I mean, those are the best things you can do. I have some serious overlay and graphics envy for this, by the way. So cool. You're doing so many cool things.
Thank you, man.
It's awesome.
So you're the music teacher. I'm the visual art and graphic teacher.
There you go.
But thank you.
That's very, very cool. Well, I mean, truly, that's what's next is the ability to get to a point where we can travel again and give our students some just unbelievable experiences. We're also in the middle of heavy recruiting season, and so there's a lot of really cool conversations happening with high school age gamers, men and women, whose parents are kind of shaking their heads, going, "Why is this coach talking to us?"
I love it.
Oh yeah, it's the greatest thing.
So, are you able to like take parents through the walkthroughs in the arena?
Oh yeah. Oh, you know, we do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man, I would love to be in one of those.
Oh, it's so great, because I mean, sometimes I'll even make fun of the Southern coach, and we think Emily is outstanding and she'd be an amazing addition to our team, and we want to welcome her on campus and see who she becomes. Right. Just you kind of go into that spiel, which they never expected to hear about a game. That most of the time they're like, "Can you get off that and come down and help us get ready for dinner?"
Yeah. So I gotta ask you this before we get off. Are you? I know you probably are. Are you a gamer, and what are you playing?
Oh yeah. Well, nobody should mess with me on that thing.
There you go.
Right. That's a big one. I will dismantle you at Tetris. I play a lot of Overwatch right now. That's the one I probably spend the most time on, and love it. Fortnite is a good in between game that I can play with my adult children. My wife and I have been married for 28 years, and awesome. we have four children over the age of 20. So whenever they'll hop on and play a little Fortnite with Dad, that's always a good thing. And honestly, I play way too many mobile games with my 3 granddaughters, mostly dragging burgers to customers and sodas to customers. Exactly. A lot of those games. So I might be able to be recruited at like Restaurant Hero or whatever it is.
Right.
I might be top 500 in Restaurant Hero.
That's awesome, man. And so I'm gonna hold on for a second. We're gonna wrap the show up, and then I'll be right back to you.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on, and to all your folks, keep doing the good stuff. This is the golden age.
For sure.
This is when it's all really going to happen for these kids, and who they become is directly related to the opportunities we give them.
Awesome. And I was about to let you go before. I always allow my guests to plug, so just let them know like where they can find Boise State Esports, where they can find you.
Well, if you want to check out what we do, I mean, twitch.tv, /Boise State, or we've got a 24-hour channel I was running that's just Boise State 247. Those are the best places.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, Doc.
Awesome.
That was Dr. Chris Haskell of Boise State Esports. This is your host, Christopher Turner of Go Play Esports. You can catch us here every Monday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, and Twitch. And that's Go Play, GEAUX, Play, PLEYES. I'd like to thank my sponsors again, Vertigear, Control, and I'm having a brain fart. I'm getting old, and T-Foxy Gaming. And so, like I always say, go play esports. Thanks for tuning in.